everyone, and welcome to our Black History Month panel discussion this afternoon. My name is Dami Adesanya, Student President, Education and Welfare at RGU Union, and we're going to have a conversation about some of our experiences and perspectives as members and allies of the RGU African students and staff communities. The theme of the month is Proud to Be, and I will now ask our panelists, Rachel, Aishat, and Phil, to introduce themselves in that order. Rachel?
All right. Hello, everyone. Um, Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Adedokun. I'm a PhD student at Robert Gordon University, and I also sit on the board of directors or board of governors, of the university.
Hi everyone, my name is Aishat Adebusi. I'm an international officer for Africa here at RGU. My role involves quite a number of things, but mainly just getting students from the point of inquiry to enrollment and seeing through their journey here at RGU as well.
Hi, I'm Filippo Antoniazzi, and I'm the Director of Student Life at RGU.
Thank you all so much for joining me on this panel today. So to begin our discussion, Rachel, we've had people share that we shouldn't only be celebrating Black History Month once a year. What are your views on whether we should have this celebration, and how important is the discussion of the racial inequality that exists in society?
Thank you so much, Dami. So, in my own view, I feel we shouldn't just celebrate the Black History Month once in a year because it's a discussion that should be always on the table. When we're talking about equality, it's important that it's made a priority. So, in my own opinion, I don't feel a month should be selected, to celebrate such. And it's important because it provides opportunity for us to learn about the Black race and even their role in shaping the modern Britain as we have it. And also, it's also an opportunity to get knowledge about Black people and their contribution to various fields, not just in the UK, but even around the world. And the celebration shouldn't just be restricted to Black people, but also to everyone, because because the Black race has always contributed, significantly to the advancement we have in the world now.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rachel. And could you please take us through your journey so far as an African woman who is also a staff of the RGU community? And what are some of the key moments where being a member of an enabling and inclusive community like ours has contributed to your journey so far?
Thank you, Dami. I mean, honestly, I haven't really given this a thought in a while. So it's great that you have brought it up now. So far, I'd like to think that my journey has been fairly smooth, emphasis on fairly. I first relocated to the UK in 2012, I think, to join my husband here. And my initial encounters, if I'm being honest, were great, especially starting out as a postgraduate student at RGU back then. I had lots of, friends, RGU, we all know that RGU, the international student community, is quite, it's very diverse. So didn't have any issues, didn't feel different at all. Moving on to working full time after studying, again, my previous jobs before coming back to work at RGU, I've met a lot of people, from the BAME community, so Black, African, minority, ethnic, and all. And again, felt quite comfortable in it. But then when I started working at RGU, I mean, just over 3 years ago, my initial sort of feeling was like, this is completely different. I mean, to start with, the first few months, I remember I was like the only Black person in the building, the Gath D House Annex building. I thought, because I never really ran into anyone. But if I'm being honest, the feelings I had of being different were just default feelings, which would happen to anyone, once you get somewhere. I mean, if it's not a Black person, if a, Caucasian person walked into a room full of Black people, that first initial feeling, I think, is what I had. But ever since I arrived here, to be honest, staff I've worked with from the beginning have been lovely, very supportive, and I cannot complain. I cannot complain. Of course, there's the occasional small issues that could come back and then maybe make you feel like, is this something I should be concerned about? Is this something I should be worried about? And I think it's just the usual unconscious bias that we face, not just in the workplace, but even in our day to day lives. But I guess part of the work that I think the diversity and inclusion team, I think, which is currently dealt with by Emmanuel, I think they're doing a lot of work around awareness, which is like the main thing that we need to start with, and then taking it from there. I also think that it's great that all of these, sort of panel discussions, all these awareness events that the union, have been putting together the past couple of years are really great, and I think it's something that we should definitely keep going, and yeah, happy to support anytime.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for that. And I'm going to ask you a follow-up question just there because you're Africa. Just how diverse do you think our RGU community has become over the years? I think like the community is diverse enough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, when I first resumed at RGU, and the first few months I was the only person. But now, I mean, even in next to me sat another, Ben from Nigeria. I've got Simone who's from Malaysia. We're all working in the same small team. And then looking at the wider department with admissions and marketing and all, there's lots of people working there. So I feel it's grown a lot, significantly from when I first started.
Thank you very much. And I think that's something to be proud of. Rachel, as an African student, in light of the BHM discussion, the Black History Month discussion, what has your experience been in Scotland and at RGU in focus?
Thank you so much. I have a similar experience as Aishat. However, I've also been at the other spectrum. Scotland is a beautiful place, and I have fallen in love with Scotland. And there are nice people, there are great people. There are people who have, gone out of their way to, help me or ensure I achieve my potential. That's for sure. There's also the other spectrum whereby I've had experiences that, jumped out at me, especially considering the fact that I was coming from Nigeria where I didn't even know I knew, but it wasn't so obvious, that there are issues regarding racial inequality or you being black. Because in Nigeria we're all black, so there is no someone is but when I came here I realized that it was a thing here, and I've had my own fair share of experience. And just to give an example, my daughter, she's 4 now, she started P1 just a few months ago. And while she was still in nursery, that means she was just 3 then, she came home and she said, while we were having just, mommy daughter time, she said, "Mommy, who colored me?" And I said, "Sorry, I don't get you." And she said, "Who colored me black?" And I said, "Nobody colored you black. That, you're brown. She said, "No, she's black, and that she doesn't like black. That can the person color her, pick another color to color her?" And I was like, "No, black is beautiful, black is this." And she said, "No, but her friend told her that their parents said, no, black is bad." And for the first time, the reality dawned on me that, there is that black race, in a way. But that's why we're having the Black History Month, so that the discussion will go away from black race to human race. We are all human, irrespective of our skin color. So Scotland has been great. We've also had wonderful experience, people going out of their way to be helpful and help us. And RGU too has been a wonderful environment. They've been deliberate step, to ensure that, racial inequality is taken or is not even seen in the university environment. But there are also instances where that is still present, not even just at the university level, but at the school level, at the departmental level. So I just feel, this kind of discussion gives us opportunity to trash the issues so that we could pave way for people who are being sidelined to gain or to, to create opportunities for these people. And I know that, as we fight, racial inequality, it will definitely propel us into greater heights, not even in just RGU, but also in Scotland and the UK and the world at large.
Thank you very much for that, Rachel. And talking about the different spectrum that you have found yourself in, myself, even an African woman in RGU, I remember when I first came in, I also had that, would I call it culture shock? But then I found that RGU very much supportive, and there are platforms that exist. So if at any time, for any reason, any student or staff feels discriminated against because of their school skin color, there are opportunities for students to report such cases to the university. And just to ask Phil, in what ways has our university supported students of African and Caribbean descent on campus, and most especially as members of the RGU community, to achieve academic and personal success?
First of all, I want to say thank you, Dami, and thank you, Rachel and Aishat, for sharing your experiences already. And it's you talked about education and the need for education, and Black History Month gives us an opportunity for all of the whole community to learn. And I'm learning as just being on this panel to talk about it. But to answer your question. I think we haven't done enough over the years in terms of RGU, that we've always felt we're a welcoming community. We've always felt that we're a non-racist community, and that we welcome from people of all colours, if you like, to our campus. And, you know, we haven't got a problem here. I think we've moved on, and I think the Black Lives Matter movement that was really highlighted in this country last summer helped us realize that we need to do more than that, and RGU has committed to make a change in that regard. And to answer your question, a big move for us is appointing our first equity, diversity, and inclusion officer, who you've already referred to, Emmanuel. He's not the answer, but that post is a visible sign of RGU committing to make a difference for equality strands across the board. But there will be an amount of focus on Black and minority ethnic, or those racialized as Black and minority ethnic, to work towards what are our issues at RGU. Can we raise these voices? And you know, there's an important discussion. This is an important discussion in that regard, in that we're starting to hear the voices and much more easily. So we didn't used to have a lot of activity around Black History Month. We've now got a lot of energy around it. A lot of the energy comes from the Black community at RGU, but we want the university to be at the heart of that as well. So I think making raising awareness and committing to make a difference and to bring about change on campus, I think that will be our focus going forward, and that in terms of answering the original question. But what else have we done? Last year, 2020, the partnership agreement was about a discussion between staff and students about what does it mean to them around the terms equality, tolerance, and respect. And out of that discussion came, we need to push for a post on equity, diversity, and inclusion. So we've created that to help. It's not exclusive to Black, African, or those of Caribbean descent, but we've moved in that regard. We've really tightened up on our policy, and we hope to start to make policies much more live and active. So we've developed and reworked the Dignity at Robert Gordon University policy, which really outlines the behaviour of all members of our community around that, making sure that we promote and support an inclusive culture in which diversity and differences are celebrated rather than become a focus of difference. We're actually celebrating those facts. But I think we can do an awful lot more. And we really need to get more education and training for both our staff and our student community so that we understand that. We developed, we purchased a report and support system for gender-based violence. In the last 12 months, we've opened that up to much more, to a focus on hate crime, particularly around, and you've already talked about it, Aisha, microaggressions, those things that you think, is that an issue for me? Should I let that go, or should I challenge that? And we really need to understand those things that you think, do I ignore that comment that my primary school child had to endure, do I ignore it or do I need to raise that? And where, we need to understand, where do we need to call that out as a university and really define what we mean by that within the university. And I think events like, or months like Black History Month, yes, we should celebrate everything throughout the year, but it does give us a focus where we can say we're not doing enough. What are the issues facing our Black community, and how can we make a difference at the university? And it's easy for me to say I'm a white middle class person, of male of European origin. So it's easy for me to see people like myself on campus, to see people like myself in around me. So I feel comfortable, and it's really understanding. I know we'll go on to talk about allyship, but understanding how someone with my privilege can help others. So we've got three black females as member of the RGU community, and I have to listen to your voices to see how the university can assist in your journey wherever you want to go and achieve as much as you want to achieve. So I hope that answers the question. I've rambled a bit. I tend to do that, Damien, you know that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Phil. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. There have been research in the past that have shown that students from African and Caribbean backgrounds, after they leave university, are not able to compete at the same level to their white and brown counterparts. What are some of the things that the university can do to assist and help students from these backgrounds to do more in higher education, and in your opinion?
I think a part of our equality outcomes, we've committed to across a range of different things, but including black and minority ethnic, or those racialized as black and minority ethnic, their performance at university, and finding out what are the barriers that are causing that awarding gap, if you like. So the lower performance at 2-1 and first. We need to set up mechanisms where we can hear those voices officially, and we're working with the student union, yourself and I, to create opportunities for people to talk to us about issues that they're facing on campus, particularly around their academic progression and achievement. And I think we could expand those to see how our employability hub can support those students that might need additional help, either during their time with us or indeed as alumni, to help them in that journey. So again, we're on the start of this progression where we started to understand we have an issue. We need to unpack what is the detail in those issues that people are facing, and then try together co-create solutions to those issues that they're facing. But we're committed to supporting our alumni as well as the students that are currently with us.
And that's very reassuring. Thank you very much, Phil. And follow up on that question, Aishat, what are your thoughts on avenues for further engagement, contributions, and opportunities to facilitate an enabling environment for staff and students from African and Caribbean backgrounds in RGE?
Thank you, Dami. I think we need to intensify. First of all, I think we need to intensify efforts. Collectively, not just individually, to connect with one another on campus, off campus. When the university is open, when it's closed, and things like that. More frequently than I think is currently the case. But also having small focus groups. Having these events around Black History Month, and not just around that themed month, but all through the year as well, and of course open to the whole RG community, so not just for Black and the minority ethnic. But I also think that we can work a bit more with the library. I know the library are doing a lot of work with resources around awareness of the different races, but I think it would be a good way to just kickstart all of this great stuff that we've spoken about today. I must say that RGU, we've done a lot, when compared to some of our competitors. We've done a lot with, inclusion, raising awareness for all these things. But I think we can still do more, and improve on what we have currently going on. Yes.
Thank you very much, Aishat. And I'm going to pose the same question to Rachel.
All right. Thank you so much, Dami, and thank you for setting this up. Um, I would suggest recognizing, just to build on what Aishat has said, I would suggest recognizing that there is a difference and then identifying how to bridge the gap. Because the truth of the matter is that most of the time, the issues that the Black community face are not even being known by the school because of that unique position that that individual occupies. So it's important, as Phil has said, to speak to this community and find out what their issues are. Another thing is also ensuring that there is adoption all around the university, because at times, the issue of Black and, racial inequality has been a discussion that has been on the table, like in RGU for a while. However, there's tendency for maybe one school adopting it and, others are not yet, embracing it in full. So it's important for us to have that, uniform adoption, across the whole university. And also, at least based on my own personal experience, I am non-confrontational. So at times I find it quite difficult identifying what behavior is inappropriate and which behavior is appropriate. I'll give an example that has actually changed my life, significantly. When I did my MBA at RGU, the placement I got, it was later on, that's about 2 years later, that I was told that the behavior that was exhibited to me by the company that I went to was inappropriate. But at that point in time, when I went through that situation, I felt, oh, I did something wrong. Maybe I should have done this. It had to do with a job that I wasn't competent in. And I actually opened up and told them that, I wasn't competent in it. And I'm being governed, by a body because I'm an accountant, by background. And the way they took it was quite different. And later on, I got that appraisal of that situation, and I was told that no, I did the right thing. But throughout the 2 years after my MBA consultancy project, I felt I did something wrong. So for me, it's all about defining what behavior is unacceptable so that people are aware that, okay, when this happens, it's not acceptable, because the Black group, or minority group, tend to be a bit quiet or accepting of any behavior because they don't want to be confrontational, or they don't want to appear as being something else. So most of the time they just keep it to themselves. And so juggling between, okay, what is right, what is acceptable, it's an issue. So I think the school can look at defining behaviors that are unacceptable so that the students are aware of it, the staff are aware of it, and when they see it, they can easily point it out and say, oh, this is not acceptable. Yes.
Thank you very much. And I suppose, as part of the question that asks opportunities to facilitate an enabling environment, we do have a vibrant campus agenda going on just now. And I think that's a very good opportunity to work on to amplify our voices in RGU. So
I think, could I come in here, Dami? Because the dignity RGU policy actually tries to define behaviours, but what we fail sometimes is to get that known across the community. So that would hopefully, Rachel, and it might be, like you were saying, Dami, a vibrant campus type activity where we've got this policy. What does it mean in the real world? What does that mean? And where are examples of acceptable, unacceptable, and something in the middle where no one's quite sure, but we'd have to make a judgment as a community around that. But we've made an attempt to try and define those behaviours. It's really, really difficult, but we have to listen to the voices of people with lived experience around them, so that we can, it's very easy for, as I said, a white middle class European male to make definitions. So we've got to have as broad a group as possible to help us in that conversation.
Thank you very much, Phil. And also, in continuation of our discussion, this year the theme for Black History Month is Proud to Be. And in your opinion, what do you think are some of the challenges that um, members of RGU community, staff and students face in the pursuit of self-actualization as students, as staff, as immigrants in Scotland, and what are some of the opportunities that exist to help create a level playing field for everyone, regardless of skin color?
Thanks for this question. It did make me think about my own background, or the background of my grandfather. So my heritage is Italian, and my grandfather came over before the First World War, went back to Italy during the First World War, and then came back again, and opened a coffee and ice cream shop in South Wales. So big immigration from areas of Italy to Britain at the time, and to America and to Australia. And not to compare his experience to those of the racism that is happening today, but he was actually, during the war, having been a member of the community, was considered an alien and was imprisoned during the war. All the Italian community were shipped off to the Isle of Man and were kept there in prison during the length of the war. So, and we've always had, and my father had a view of the British state because of that. And that coloured some of my growing up and thinking about how we treat immigrants in particular. And, we're fully assimilated into and that word assimilation, and it was almost like you had to hide your difference, but we were taught, no, you're Italian, you be proud of your heritage, and you make sure. And it was all about education within our family, which tends to be immigrant communities use education to progress as families and as peoples. So it's important for me in that heritage that I had. So the education that my parents had helped me have a much more privileged background than perhaps my father had, and certainly that of my grandfather. But that was during the 40s and 50s, where it was a different period, and the Italian community at times had issues that perhaps the Black and minority ethnic community are facing now. But it's much more endemic and systemic now. But it is about how can you help people to fulfill their full potential, and taking away barriers and ensuring that you understand that the barriers, what is preventing people fulfilling their whole potential. And that will be different for different groups with different protected characteristics. And our job at RGU is to listen to voices, to understand how can we assist people to achieve their full potential. And the first thing we need to do is understanding the barriers and the issues that they're facing, so that they can move forward and achieve whatever they want to achieve whilst they're with RGU, either as a student or a member of staff or someone that interacts with RGU.
Thank you very much, Phil, for sharing with us. And on a lighter note, just now, I'm going to be asking everyone on the panel to share, because the theme for the month is Proud to Be. So I just want every one of us to share one thing that we're proud to be. And I'll start with Rachel, Aishat, and then Phil. So what are you proud to be?
I'm proud to be Black. I am proud to be at RGU. I am proud to be resilient, and I'm proud to love life and want to impact life positively.
For me, I think Rachel has said it all, but again, I would say I'm proud to be Black, proud to be a woman, proud to be working with this, all you lovely people at RGU. And most importantly, I think I'm really proud of, all what I've been through, and how strong it has made me, over the years.
Thank you. Phil?
So, building on what Rachel and Aisha have said, I'm proud to have a heritage that isn't just white British. I'm really proud of having Welsh Italian actually heritage. I'm proud that I love living in Scotland, and I feel a bit of pride about Scottishness and Scottish nationalism. I'm like really proud of that. But in terms of this discussion today, I'm really proud that RGU is now starting to recognise they've got a lot of work to do in this regard. I'm proud of our students and our staff that are prepared. I'm proud of you three in this room, like prepared to get yourself and put yourself out there and say, we need to do more in this regard. This is my story. So I'm proud to be part of a community that recognises it's got issues and really wants to make a difference. So that I think we believe, this is going to sound rubbish, we believe in love, we believe in helping people progress in their lives, and I'm proud to be part of a community like that.
Thank you very much. And I really do believe it is making a real difference in that regard. So, Phil, how important is allyship in the race discussion, and how can allies help to transform and improve the lived experiences of African and Caribbean people in Scotland?
I think I've referred to this during our discussion. I have the benefit of being white male, and that has meant that barriers that black females, for instance, in this group, those barriers haven't been there for me, and I've got to recognise that yes, I've worked hard to get to where I am, but I haven't had the challenges that the three of you have had to face and continue to have to face because of the society that we live in. And I think if I can recognise that and try and recognise that there are other groups that are marginalised or even oppressed, that I can use my position of privilege to help progress, all the things that we've talked about today. And I can do it specific in the context that I find myself in a university community. So I'm able to really put the privilege that I have, my position, my whiteness, my maleness, to help progress those the issues that are putting barriers in the way of self-actualization of individuals in different marginalized or oppressed groups. And that includes the Black, African and Caribbean descent of people.
Thank you very much. Just thinking outside the box here, and anyone can feel free to answer this question. Do you think that people should be referred to based on the color of their skin? So do you think we should say, for instance, black women or white women or black men? Or do you think that we should just refer to people maybe based on nationality or ethnicity, or just based on the fact that they're people? What are your thoughts on that question? I'll go with Phil, Aishat, and then Rachel.
Well, this is a key discussion that the university needs to understand, and we can only understand it from hearing from the groups with lived experience. So we've gone through BAME, we've gone through people of colour. Someone has given me advice, maybe we should be saying people racialised as BAME, because the BAME term is here. I quite like I have a colleague that I went to university that is very black woman who talks about black and brown people. I think until we get to a place where I think Rachel said about the human, we're just talking to humans or about humans or people, and we're not there yet, I don't think, and we need to identify that there are barriers and there are specific groups that are marginalized and oppressed. So we need to define them, but we must define them in a way that people from those groups recognize and feel pride in that terminology. That's my view, but I'm not sure, and it's a constantly changing thing, and I need to listen and learn more about it, really.
Thank you.
I think I agree with what Phil already said. I mean, we're trying, but we're not quite there yet. Also, I think, when referring to people, say, for example, the black lady, or I think it depends on the situation. There's sometimes you can't, there's some, statements that you can't make by saying, oh, that racially classified as BAME woman. I think it depends on the situation. It depends on, the body language of the person speaking as well, and what you're talking about. But when it comes to generalizing it, I think maybe just people would be the best way to go forward. But again, like Phil said, we aren't there yet, and we just need to kind of still take baby steps for now and see how we get on.
Thank you, Aisha. Rachel?
Yeah, so thank you, Dami, and just to build up on what Phil and Aisha said, um, I don't see color. I just see people, and that's the way I was brought up. It only just became pronounced in the last 3 years of me being in the UK, and I could begin to see black, white. Everybody was just human. So I believe, and I raised up my daughter to see people as just humans. So the same care, the same love that you will give someone of similar color to you is the same person, the same you give to someone of a different color. They are also humans. So I don't believe in classifying them based on name. However, if we need to give them a name, then the name should come from the person who is being called.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. To share that as well. I believe that every person deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of their skin color. And my final question to you, Phil, today is: what is the university's commitment to students of African and Caribbean descent, and how can we work together in diversity to emerge stronger?
Well, I think we've talked an awful lot about the university. What it's recognizing that we haven't done enough in the past, that we are making commitments to move forward. Our commitment really is a commitment to learn, to listen, and then to take action. I think we need to start taking action, and I think our commitment that we've employed someone to bring together this work and these ideas, it is excellent, but we need action, and we need to start developing an action plan to make improvements. There is a commitment from the very top. The principal is absolutely committed to this. The executive's committed to this. We've reorganized our equity and diversity structures in the university because we recognize we haven't done enough in the past and we want to do more. So it's a commitment to say, we're committed to work on this. We've not got all the answers at the moment, but we want to work with people with lived experience so that people do feel welcome from all sections of our community.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for sharing so openly and widely, sharing your experiences and real life stories with us. Thank you once again for joining me on this panel discussion, and many, many thanks to everyone watching us live across our social media platforms. Don't forget to join in on our other activities lined up throughout this month. Thank you and have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.